In the sprawling hills on the northern edge of New Camden, where the city's skyline faded into manicured estates and private gates, stood the Holmes mansion, a monument to precision and wealth. Built in the early 2000s by Owen Everett Holmes's grandfather, it was a place where every detail was engineered for efficiency. Smart systems that anticipated needs, lights that dimmed on command, and security logs that tracked every movement. Owen, at 32, had inherited not just the property but the mindset that built it. As CEO of Holmes Development Firm, a multinational powerhouse in urban renewal and tech-integrated real estate, he lived by data, deadlines, and detachment. People often called him a visionary, but those who worked closest to him knew better. He was a machine in human form, brilliant but barren of warmth. That morning, as the sun cut through the fog rolling off the nearby river, Owen stood at the podium of the annual Summit on Equity and Technology in Urban Renewal. The auditorium, filled with 500 industry leaders, hummed with anticipation. His keynote was a masterclass in calculated eloquence, charts projecting ethical ROI on low-income housing projects, algorithms optimizing community reinvestment, and a nod to diversity metrics that sounded progressive but felt sterile. "We don't build for today," he concluded, his voice clipped and confident. "We engineer for tomorrow's efficiencies." The applause was thunderous, cameras flashed, and hands extended for photos. Owen nodded through it all, his dark suit impeccable, his watch ticking exactly 2 minutes ahead of schedule. He slipped out the side door, avoiding the networking scrum, and slid into his waiting car. The drive home was silent, as always. No radio, no calls, just the hum of the electric engine and the glow of his tablet. He scrolled through live metrics, project overruns at 2.3%, hiring delays minimized to under 5 days, shipment efficiency at 98.7%. Investment risks hovered in the green. Everything was as it should be. The estate gates parted automatically, recognizing his vehicle's signature. Lights warmed to his preferred Kelvin. The front door unlocked with a soft click. And there, in the grand foyer with its marble floors and crystal chandelier, stood Leila James. She was in her mid-60s, her graying hair pulled into a neat bun, her uniform crisp despite the late hour. "Welcome home, Mr. Holmes," she said softly, adjusting a folded cloth in her hand, a habit he'd never questioned. "Anything urgent?" he asked, already ascending the sweeping staircase. "No, sir. Messages on your desk. Dinner at 7. He nodded, vanishing into the upper halls. Leila turned back to the kitchen, her steps quiet, her presence as reliable as the ticking hall clock. She'd been part of the household since Owen was 5, hired by his parents just before the car accident that claimed them both. In those dark months after, it was Leila who had sat by his bedside during nightmares, combed his tangled hair for school, remembered his allergies to nuts, and read him stories from worn library books until sleep came. She never sought praise or promotion. She simply was. Over 27 years, she'd become invisible furniture, essential but unnoticed. That evening, as Owen reviewed reports from a Singapore partner, numbers dancing across his screen like obedient soldiers, he spotted a flag in the home management interface. Minor, but persistent. 3 instances in 21 days of unaccounted items from the storage room. A few cans of soup, energy bars, a bottle of antiseptic. Small quantities, flagged by the automated log for inconsistencies with no linked event. It wasn't theft in scale, but it was a glitch in the system, and glitches were intolerable. He pulled up the access logs. Only 4 had nighttime clearance. Himself, his vacationing assistant, the head chef, off nights for weeks, and Leila. Her name aligned perfectly with the timestamps, 10:15 to 10:45 p.m. each time. Owen leaned back, the leather chair creaking slightly. His chest tightened, not with rage, but with a cold unease. Why? He had abundance. The items were trivial. But the secrecy stung. Leila knew the system. She could have requested them. Instead, she took, silently, as if he were the type to deny. For the first time, he realized how little he knew of her life beyond these walls. What did she do after clocking out? Who waited for her? The house was silent, polished to perfection, but now it felt hollow. Leila was somewhere in it, folding linens or dimming lights, sustaining his world without ever claiming a piece of it. Sleep evaded him that night. a subtle restlessness crawling under his skin. Not the dramatic tossing of movies, but a quiet pulse challenging his logic. By dawn, it solidified into action. He cleared his calendar, rescheduled meetings, declined investor dinners, and at 9:30 p.m., he drove out in his black sedan, windows tinted, circling back to park down the street from the estate. At 10:15, Leila emerged from the side gate, cloth bag in hand, gray coat warding off the chill. Her steps were deliberate, unhurried. Owen followed, heart pounding in a way boardrooms never made it. She boarded the eastbound bus, the city shifting from affluence to grit. Cracked pavements, faded brick buildings, distant radios blaring. She alighted in a rundown neighborhood, entering a chipped paint building labeled Community Youth Resource Center. Owen parked discreetly, approaching on foot. Through a side window, he saw her unpacking the bag. Rice, beans, vegetables, the missing items. A dozen children, ages 5 to 12, lined up patiently. A girl of 8 asked, "Where's this food from, Miss Leila?" "From good people who didn't need it," Leila replied, her smile warm and weary, "but I made sure it came here while it mattered." Owen froze. It wasn't shame, not yet, just the sting of exclusion. She hadn't trusted him to give freely. He watched her serve with the same efficiency she brought to his home, but here it was laced with joy. Turning away, he drove home, gripping the wheel, grappling with the unfamiliar feeling of being peripheral in his own story. The next afternoon, compelled by a mix of curiosity and remorse, Owen found himself at her address, a dingy building with flaking paint and barred windows. He knocked on 2B. A boy opened the door, thin, big-eyed, about 9, in mismatched socks. "Are you Mr. Owen?" "Yes." "Is your grandmother here?" "Not yet." "Come in." The apartment was tiny, spotless, adorned with family photos and hand-drawn art. A bookshelf sagged with worn paperbacks. The boy, Louis, offered warm water, "Fridge is broken," and pointed to a framed photo. Young Owen at a ribbon cutting, Leila in the background. "Grandma says you were a good boy, just quiet." On the wall, a yellowed nursing certificate from 1986. She stopped when they didn't want a black lady touching their baby. Louis explained matter-of-factly. She volunteered at clinics, but got tired of silent thanks. Owen sat, absorbing the room's stories. Medical forms, half-filled insurance papers, a bottle of pain reliever. Louis added, "She only takes stuff that's being thrown away. Checks labels so it's safe." When Leila arrived, grocery bag in hand, she paused but recovered. "This is unexpected." They ate lentils and rice, talking of books and weather. Leila moved freely here, laughing with Louis, humming as she washed plates. It was Leila unfiltered, and Owen realized he'd never seen her whole. The drive home was introspective. Back in his office, he audited the logs deeply. The missing items were discard-marked, expired but safe, not scanned out due to staff oversight. No theft, just Leila's quiet salvage. He updated the file. Discrepancy resolved. Human error, mine. He pondered her certificate, the prejudice that ended her career, the photo on her wall. His systems had failed to see people. The house felt colder that night. Its perfection meaningless. 3 days later, he returned. Louis was sick, asthmatic fever. Leila offered tea, her eyes on the boy. Owen apologized for doubting. She revealed her past, a lost home to medical debts, her daughter's death, the center's funding cuts. "Let me help," he said. "You already have. You came back." But when Louis's breathing worsened, Owen insisted on his doctor. At the hospital, he stayed, signing forms, watching Leila care with unwavering grace. "Don't disappear when it gets hard," she said. "I won't." Genevieve, his business partner, confronted him days later. "You're risking everything for sentiment." "It's gratitude," he countered. "I'm seeing what's real." Louis recovered, and Owen became a fixture at the center, reading to kids, earning Uncle O. He funded it anonymously, gave Leila leadership. She spoke at conferences, her voice echoing invisible truths. Months later, the board approved his restructured fund. Leila joined as advisor. Louis's letter, "Thank you for seeing us," stayed in Owen's wallet. In the atrium, Louis asked, "Think they'd be proud?" Owen smiled. "They'd recognize us now. Like, subscribe, and hit notifications, because stories like this remind us. True change starts with seeing the unseen." Word count. 2. 500. If you meant exactly 25,000 words or further adjustments, provide more details.